truth of it.
What do you think your reputation is for people that
That's
don't know
a
you?
brilliant question. That is a brilliant question. I do not know the answer to that.
Really?
Because that's an interesting thing. Because you know, and
It's funny because it just came to me as we were talking, and I'm like, I wonder what it broadly is.
No, it's a great question. Because what's the measure of it? You know, and I suppose of course I am concerned about my reputation from a commercial point of view, and I think we've got a growing, because my business is not just about me, by the way. I've got brilliant partners, John Stiefel, Katie Searle. These are very, very experienced people, as well as a good team. So, you know, I hesitate to associate only myself with the reputation of my business, because I'm lucky enough to work with brilliant people who are contributing to that. And I think we've got a very good reputation in the marketplace now.
Yeah, as a company.
I've done it for 7 years, as a company. My personal reputation, I think, thanks to the joys of the Google algorithm, I suspect still remain pretty mixed. Right. One of the things about the Google algorithm is that it will take something from a piece of coverage from 2010 and stick it in the first page of your news search as if it happened yesterday. I am not the poster boy to start complaining about that, by the way. But it is like having a newspaper posted through your front door, 10 years after a court case. Yeah. You know, as if it's real. So that, I think, is an element, I suppose, on my digital reputation. But what sits below it for me, and this is another, this is linked to control. This is definitely linked to stoicism. Is that I have also worked out, and it took me a while. That the only opinions really that are my business are the opinions of my family, my wife first and foremost, and my 3 sons, of my friends that I care about, and of the clients that who choose, for which I'm incredibly grateful, to work with us. Those are the opinions I care about. Anyone else's opinion of me, and I don't want this to sound arrogant, is none of my business. It is for whoever has that opinion. And I know that will always be people who have a certain opinion about me. And there's nothing I can do about it, control. And actually, it's for you. And that is a very freeing position to find yourself in. And if I can get, in the process that we go through with our clients, if I can get my clients to that place as well, that's a very useful thing to be able to get to.
Can you tell us about what it really feels like when you're being cancelled?
Well, for me,
give us some flavour on that.
Yeah, it was wretched, and I use the word unravelling, and that's what it felt like for me. The first year in particular was just terrible, because everything, sort of fell in. I was unemployable. The kind of economic impact on that on me and my family was pretty immediate. I was, all over the newspapers. I was on TV, being, portrayed as someone that I didn't think and don't think I was, or that I am. And that is a very difficult thing to live with. And then there's your relationships. Thankfully, the important relationships in my life, most importantly with my wife, were rock solid. But it's a real test of friendship. It's a real test of your professional relationships. There were, I have to say, ultimately, over the longer term, massively net positive for me. Far more people ran towards me who owed me nothing than people who I felt perhaps did owe me a bit, at least some loyalty, ran in the opposite direction. But I also learnt that my situation was a scandal, right? And scandal can really twist a lot of things out of shape. It can twist friendships out of shape. It can twist professional relationships. It just bends things out of shape. And if you can accept that as well, and just sort of see it for what it is, that really helps with the anger and most importantly the bitterness. So I was pretty bitter for about a year. And then I worked it out. And bitterness is, is the end. Is the truth.
The coverage was like very significant, very regular.
Yeah.
Were you seeing that?
Can I say, by the way, I do not want any of this to come over as woe is me. Right? I just don't believe that. Right? I think I think there is nothing more useless in life than a self-appointed victim. And I'm not that, and I'm not looking for a round of applause or any. But I
But presumably,
particularly
when it comes to the media coverage, I think it would be grossly hypocritical of me to whinge and moan.
But I'm more like,
right?
what was it? How regular did it feel to you in the
well,
moment?
at times it was there were periods of my life where it was every day, and it's a different problem, because it was so multifaceted. And the difficult thing, obviously, is not just the impact on me; it's the impact on the kids and Eloise, and having to move and all the kind of impact that it had on our life. That obviously was very painful and very difficult. And bear in mind, I was in a period of my life. I was in my early 40s. I was firing on all cylinders. That's the period of your life when you should be at your most productive. And so
it's probably
removed.
made you now, right? As in, like, your success now is the kind of the end, like you said, the sort of his hero journey. As in, you're now probably viewed as the reputation specialist because of this arc that you've gone through.
Well, I hesitate to say it's made me. I mean, the interesting thing is, I'm definitely happier for it. I'm definitely a better advisor. Much more importantly, I'm a better husband. I'm a better father. I'm a better friend as a result of it, without any shadow of a doubt on all of that. But I can't honestly sit here and say I'm glad it happened. No. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I do not wish it to happen. I do not wish it to happen.
Do you feel like going through that experience? Well, different actually. Going through that experience, did that help you reflect on your time as editor at News of the World, where ultimately you were responsible for doing that to other people, not in necessarily the obvious malicious way, but that is essentially the job of the editor of the News of the World, whoever takes that role.
It's part of the job.
Part of the job, yeah. Not the only job.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other aspects to it, but did it make you reflective at the time?
Of course it did. And it's an interesting thing for me because, of course, it was so negative. All of it was so negative. I was being portrayed in the way that I was being portrayed. The News of the World was being portrayed as some sort of Death Star. And that isn't the full truth. Lots of mistakes made. I was the boss. That's why I absolutely feel a sense of responsibility over what happened. And I feel very sorry about it, and why I will now take this opportunity to apologise to anyone who's listening who was impacted by it. But it's not the full truth, the entire truth of the News of the World. The entire truth of the News of the World is quite different, and I know that because I was there. And it was actually a place populated by very professional people in the main, who would turn up to work to produce a brilliant product that was loved by its readers, and that was as much about humour and sport and campaigning and sort of journalistic brilliance that does not fit with the caricature of the paper now. And I feel terribly sorry for those people, because of course the paper was closed. Not my decision, but it was closed. So where I am on it now is it's taken me a long while. Is that I'm now able to say that to you in a way that doesn't kind of cause me to think, oh my God, I'm trying to defend the News of the World. It's just the truth of the place, and it also is kind of the truth of me, right? I'm someone who's made loads of mistakes in my life, loads of mistakes, professional and personal. I am, but I really do believe, as a result of, I think, what I went through, that I've got something to contribute, and that I've got something that's useful, and that's how I'm going to focus the rest of my life on, is trying to do something productive, try and build a brilliant business. The people that I've always admired in life are people who've got off their backside, people like yourselves who've gone out and built something. I was only ever an employee until I wasn't. And so, that's what I'm going to do with the business. And if I can also, as I say, fire a few of those arrows out through the pod, happy days.